Welcome back, everybody, to our CIE panels. Today, we are covering events with our lovely guest, Valerie, aka Silver, and our evil Bob.
Hello, hello.
All right, so just to get right into it, if you would like to just introduce yourselves, just your name, where people can find you on socials, and what you do, we can start with Silver.
Hello, I'm Valerie, or Silver on socials. I'm currently the marketing and events manager at St. Clair College, but I do have a really long history in events, starting from when I went to University of Toronto many years ago. That felt a very long time ago. At the esports club there, I founded Toronto Fortnite, Toronto Valorant, and I've just worked on a lot of local Toronto events.
All right, I guess I can jump in. Hello, hello. I am Evil John Bob or Jack. I run Third Sight, a Counter-Strike thing in Ottawa where we host watch parties for various CS events.
All right, lovely. So just to start off, just a nice, easy question to ease ourselves into it. What is your current favorite game to play?
Well, Counter-Strike for me may come as a shock running a Counter-Strike thing. But yeah, we just don't talk about how many hours I have. But yeah, I love it.
Um, um, Unfortunately, I got back into League of Legends recently. I'm very ashamed to admit it, but you know, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I just got back into it. We just finished CeeLo, and watching CeeLo inspired me. So I'm on my League of Legends grind right now.
It's okay. Stay strong.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just get right into it. Our first question: what is the very first step you take when planning an esports event from scratch?
I guess I could start. So for me, it's a little different because I'm hosting a watch party for an event. So kind of the first step is looking at the calendar for CS events, and then that's how I'm picking the which one. It's also looking, is it a studio LAN or a LAN with a crowd? Because I don't think there's too much value in picking like a studio LAN. So I look for a live audience LAN. I also need to make sure that there's going to be some big names at that event, just to have people wanting to come out to a watch party for it. So some of those big teams there. Also, time zone, that's a big thing. So any event in Asia, it's going to be like 2 a.m. Some gamers might be up there, but it's going to be a little awkward trying to get a venue. Also, holidays in Canada. I had one event that wasn't on a holiday itself, but it was on a long weekend. And then, some people tend to be out of town for that. So definitely something to keep in mind. So yeah, not like one step for starting a watch party. There's kind of several small ones. But yeah, that's what I do.
Lovely.
Yeah, for me, if you talk to anybody I've worked with, the first thing I always do is create a document. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be comprehensive. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone but yourself. But starting a document of some sorts, whether it's in Google Sheets, I'm a big Google Sheets advocate, or just a Word document, just to get your thoughts down, get the dates down, like you mentioned, like all the overlapping dates, scheduling issues, anything like that. Just starting a document. It's always the first step, and it's the easiest way to reference anything back to it, and just having the master document. That's kind of how I operate with almost all of my events, even like the small ones, because details get missed so easily. Especially if you have like weekly touch bases, if you're running multiple events, things get forgotten. We're all human, it happens, but having the document just really helps a lot.
Yeah, planning an event is obviously like a really big job, and so anything that you can do to just kind of help yourself, like future you, is always a great first step. So, kind of our next question is: what was the first esports event that you worked on, and what was your role?
So for me, a little different. The first one was just the first watch party that I started. So like the role was setting everything up and planning that. Kind of like the big takeaway was how keen people were in Ottawa for like Counter Strike or esports in general. So like I booked like a small little venue just to test it out. So I thought it would be a little awkward to have like a huge venue and then not too many people show up. But yeah, it worked out well. Had a venue sold out, and people were just really thrilled to have something. So the takeaway was I'm going to need a bigger space for the next time, and that's what I've done after that first event.
That's awesome. First of all, in Ottawa, I love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
I don't hear much stuff from Ottawa. I was mentioning it earlier. I don't hear much going on, so it's great that you're putting something on for the community. But for me, my first event. So I went to school of University of Toronto, Mississauga, a very long time ago. um, it was before esports. It was when esports was really first starting out. It was the days of oh my gosh, what was it called? It was called ULOL. It wasn't called CLOL yet. It was called ULOL, University League of Legends. It was when Riot still supported colleges, right? Please bring that back. But they used to send us swag boxes and everything. But anyways, I was at the esports club. I was their, volunteer event coordinator. And they used to run these events where everybody just brought a laptop and sat in a room and played League of Legends. And it wasn't really an event, everybody just gathered and there wasn't socializing. People didn't make friends. People didn't make lasting memories. So I decided I'm going to put together a League of Legends solo queue tournament. I had no idea what I was doing, but this is where the having everything in a document comes along. I just started a document and I started boothing. I boothed like every day in the first week of school to get signups manually, and I just prayed that all these people that would sign up would actually show up, and they did, and too many showed up actually. So I ran a League of Legends tournament, solo queue, duo queue style. That was my first ever event, and my main takeaway is honestly that it's never going to be perfect. Even back then, obviously it was my first time running an event. It was not going to be perfect, but even now, I still make you know similar mistakes, small mistakes. Things happen. There's so many moving parts. But my main takeaway from that event, I made a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of things I could improve on, like scheduling, planning ahead, marketing. Because at the time, it was just a Facebook group. We didn't use Twitter. We barely used Instagram. Um, so I think the main takeaway is just, to be forgiving with yourself. Making mistakes with events happen. It's not perfect, especially in grassroots events. It's you're not here for profit. You're not here to make a business out of it. As long as your event attendees leave with some sort of lasting memory or just a good experience, whether they win or lose, at least a positive experience with the tournament organizers, with the space, with making friends, then I would say it's a successful event.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially students, or people that are interested in kind of getting their foot in the door with esports, especially in events, tend to have a fear of like, oh, it needs to be perfect. It needs to be perfect, and so kind of getting into that first event might get delayed because they're, like, oh, we have to have the best production, we have to have a prize pool, we have to have sponsors, we have to have, and I think it can get forgotten along the way that sometimes you just got to do it. Like,
That's
you gotta
yeah,
booth out
that's
for
a
a
really real
week
thing.
to find
I
people.
know I know this question is somewhere in the panel as well, but that's a really real thing where, event organizers or first time tournament organizers basically get stun locked with wanting the event to be perfect and then they end up never starting it up, At the end just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah,
Even
like
with
I sorry,
no,
like
no, go on, go on.
I wanted to like, how can I find a way to help out, like just getting started. And I wasn't like, I was trying to, volunteer certain places. I wasn't too sure where to go. And so I was like, okay, I just got to start something. And that's like the biggest challenge is just pushing yourself to just start the event or to start planning it and pushing yourself. It doesn't need to be perfect.
All right. So talking about imperfections, what are some learning curves you have faced specifically running or creating events in the esports space?
So yeah, for me, I think one of something that came up was making sure you ask some of these basic questions that you think you already know the answer, but you should just ask them. And what I mean by that is, so I had a venue booked. I had like a whole area for this venue, and it was like perfect. We can do like a watch party here. Um, and so a week prior to the event, I get there to set it up. I'm like, okay, my laptop, it works. I can see the game being shown. And then I asked the venue, so now can I get some sound? They're like, oh, normally people bring their own speakers. Why didn't you tell me that? So luckily, and that's one, step is set it up before the event if you can, just to make sure that all the tech works, and definitely makes it less stressful for on the day. Like if I was to show up and not have sound on the day. So definitely ask those like basic questions. It's very helpful. Um, Another thing that I've learned as well, is so the same venue actually, they said that there was going to be another event happening on the venue, but it was like for pool. So it was a huge venue. We were over on one side doing the watch party, and the other side was a pool tournament. So I thought, okay, it's fine. It's pool. It was being live streamed. So that mean the bandwidth and the internet of the venue was a bit in the bin. So fortunately, the stream had some issues for the watch party. So definitely something to keep in mind is asking the venue, anyone else going to be using internet on that day. So something that I've learned, and will hopefully not make that same same mistake again.
I'm interested in watching a live pool tournament.
Exciting, I'm sure.
To piggyback off of that, your overall thing was kind of like ask questions, always ask, always double check. I think for me, I would say you should always ask for help. I'm sure all of us here are guilty of this as being grassroots organizers, as being student leaders. Just we're just in a space where all of us wear so many different hats. You're a tournament organizer, you're the marketing manager, you're the operations manager. You got to run the bracket, but you also have to get this player water because they're really thirsty. Like, you gotta plug things in, fix a headset, um, ask for help. There's so many people willing to work and volunteer in the space, and I know sometimes we get caught up and get worried that oh, I don't want to make these people work for free. Dude, you're working for free. You're working for free, and there's so many people out there in the community that want to help and want to elevate the scene. And this is, an experience for them as well, because in the esports space, it's a very new space. You can't just walk into the Luminosity office and ask for internship hours. You can't just go for a day of shadowing a Luminosity, or I don't know what other organizations are. Toronto Defiant, Toronto. You can't just go in and shadow and get some hours and hands-on experience. That's not possible. So this is the hands-on experience for esports individuals. So you should always ask for help. You have to learn to delegate. That's still a learning curve for me right now, especially right now. I'm in a role where I work with a lot of students, so I quite literally have to delegate to students. And in the past, when I ran, grassroots communities, I kind of just did everything on my own. And that's the easiest way to burn yourself out and reduce your quality of work and just your mental health, everything. So I think my advice is to always ask for help, to always delegate. There are so many people willing to help and willing to put in the work, and it's really easy to find those people around your community.
I think that's a really big one. I am kind of fairly new into like events in a way. Like I've always been in the behind works. Like I've always had someone who would tell me what to do. But I think help is one of the biggest things you can do because you're not only helping yourself, but you're also giving the opportunity to other people to kind of get their hands
Exactly.
on um, this esports world that we all live in. Um, I'm gonna now ask you to give me one of your favorite, like one of your favorite things about kind of running or creating events, and one of your least favorite. So you can just kind of give me one and then the other.
When it's
Or-
over. No, just kidding. No, I mean, yeah, like my favorite part is just seeing people come to an event that like you made. It's pretty special. Meeting new people, and it's ultimately just bringing people that otherwise normally are just playing online, and it's just fun to see everyone in person. And yeah, that's my favorite aspect is just seeing people watch an event that you put on. Oh, I guess and my
Least favorite.
least favorite, besides the tech like the tech problems that will kind of happen, some of the admin work. So like sending emails for potential venues and
Yeah.
sponsors, and yeah, it can be a bit painful. But when you do get like a sponsor or some like a venue, it does feel really good. So I don't want to scare anyone because it can be many emails, but hey, eventually stuff does work out.
I think for me, it's very similar. I love seeing the event being put on. Obviously, it's seeing your work come to fruition. But my favorite part would have to be seeing any staff that I've had the opportunity to bring on to the event enjoy the event as well. That's how we all get started. And I'm in a position here at St. Clair where I can give the students like endless opportunities to work these events that they otherwise probably wouldn't get a chance to work elsewhere. So I just love being able to see our students, my students in action, and putting on great shows and just learning after every event. So my opinion's a little a little biased in my situation. My least favorite part, very similar to what you said with the admin work, but is I'm gonna frame it in a way where I think networking is probably my least favorite part. Don't get me wrong, I've met amazing people. I'm meeting amazing people right now in the scene, and I've enjoy the company of a lot of people I work. But in the esports industry, it's always go go go. Especially with networking, it's nonstop. You always have to be connecting, making new connections, meeting new people, and looking for the next connection. And it's quite tiring sometimes. So that would be my least favorite part.
Yeah. I think similarly for events in general, I'd say just seeing how people enjoy the event. Again, it's your work. It's almost like you're getting like a in live time review of your work. Just seeing people enjoy themselves, seeing staff enjoy themselves. It's like that's what it's all about. It's being there and being all together and having the community together. Um, yeah, emails, admin stuff. Oh, having to network as well. Like it's great, but sometimes you're just tired. You're like, hey, I've been doing this for like 3 weeks, and I'm just here to sit back, relax, and enjoy this.
Yeah, especially if it happens at your event and somebody wants to talk to you, and it's like, man, I'm
Yeah.
really tired. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Well, those are really good ones. I enjoyed that. Now we were touching on this before, but what is the best way that people and students can get involved in helping kind of bring esports events to life?
Um, well, like for me, I think there's also some value in just starting your own thing. Like we also did talk about that. But if you're in like a school and your school does have like they're they have games and stuff, definitely try and get involved with your school. Something that I wish that I did when I was in school. Um, so yeah, that's something. But also if you're maybe you're starting, you want to start your own thing. Like for me, running like a whole LAN was a bit scary. So hey, if you're looking to start your own thing, I think running um like you want to set up something like that I do, I think that's also a good starting point. Esports watch parties.
Yeah, just I mean, we were talking about this earlier offline. But yeah, starting your own thing, I mean, that's how I got my start as well. When I first got out of school from University of Toronto, obviously I cannot take the esports club with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own little club. And Fortnite was the big game at the time, so I made Toronto Fortnite and I just ran Fortnite tournaments. I had no idea what I was doing. I was running it off of spreadsheets. It was also before Fortnite even had like a point system. It was before,
Oh
Epic
wow.
Games ever even thought of making it competitive. It was when friendly fire was a thing. And so I just started Fortnite tournaments, and from there, I built my own community, and then eventually, bigger companies, local LAN events was like, you know what, we want to run Fortnite tournaments. Who should we go to? And coincidentally, there was this community called Toronto Fortnite that had a hand in the community already. So they would come to me, and then I would go to those bigger LAN events, host Fortnite tournaments there. I'm pretty sure I did them for free. Um, and from there, I made connections and networked. So yes, bottom line, always start your own thing. if you want. Even this CIE, I love this initiative so much. I was looking at the schedule, and CIE, like, they have a packed schedule, and it's all student ran, and I think it's insane, and I love that. But either start your own thing. It's never wrong to start your own thing. It's the easiest way to learn in your own environment and make mistakes. My second piece of advice, specifically for students, and actually not even specifically for students, just for people and students as well, is just to show up. And showing up doesn't mean to just find a way to work the event. You can just show up to support an event. Um, I was never really big into the Smash or fighting game scene, but I have a few friends in the space that run a lot of fighting game events, and I just show up to their events to support. And that's kind of how the scene operates. You show up to support your friends' events, they'll show up to support yours, and you'll meet other people and network. And eventually opportunities will come to you because you'll be top of mind, because people will be like, you know what, we need a Counter-Strike TO. What about that one guy that hosts watch parties? And it's showing up always works. And I think that's just my best piece of advice, especially for students. Showing up at an event to volunteer, or either showing up the day before or asking the day before to volunteer helps a lot. Um, the last thing I would recommend is sending like a cold DM without having a name to the face. That's a mistake a lot of people make often. I get a lot of random DMs of people asking to work on events and helping, and unfortunately, I don't remember them. Because I don't have a face to the name when people DM me. So showing up is my number one advice for that. And if maybe you're too shy to show up, make your own event, make it happen.
I think that's really great advice. I think a lot of students, like, I mean, I didn't start into esports until 2022, and before that, I like didn't even touch a video game. So when I was interested in wanting to get involved with esports, I like there was no like video on YouTube that's like, this is how you make it in esports.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
pipeline.
there is absolutely no pipeline, and I think a question that even I've gotten now that I've kind of been working in esports for a little bit is, like, what do I have to do? Like, how do I, like, and I'm like, it's different for everybody. Like, there is no, like, ABC and you get here. Some people like me who've never even touched a video game for the better part of their life, that just so happen to be interested in like the event planning portion of esports. um, you know, Luck plays a part in it as well. But I think if, like you were saying, you just got to show up. You got to put yourself in a position where that luck, where that person, where that contact can find you. Um,
Exactly.
and as
Yeah,
long as
you
you're doing something you enjoy.
yeah, you have to be there when the opportunity arises, you know. You have to make yourself available for those opportunities, or you make your own opportunities.
Yes. Do you have any other points there, Jack? I wasn't sure if you looked like you're gonna say something.
No, no. Yeah.
All right, so kind of keeping going on like that advice route, with your experience in esports, what do you feel more event organizers should keep in mind when creating or running their events? So this could be, grassroots organizers, or this could be even, the big orgs up there that maybe are planning events that you got to be like, hey, look out for the people here, like, look at this, you should try this.
Yeah, I mean, I think not too many TOs look at the experience for people watching the event. Because some lands, they'll have like a little section for people just to watch the games, or like me, that's the whole point, the watch party. So how can we keep people, not bored? Because there's going to be some times when there's breaks, just naturally breaks, but also tech issues. So something that I do is I run like a little game. It's not the kind of, I'm sure there's other things you can do, but I have kind of set up where people can join with their phone, and then they can answer some stuff about Counter Strike, and then the top three winners will then get some sponsored items. And also briefly, I think it's a great way if you're kind of putting out emails to people to get sponsored stuff. It can be difficult because you're basically just asking for free stuff. And if you're no one, like I'm just starting out, it's hard for sponsors to like trust you. But I think if you have a plan with with how you're going to utilize those items, I think the sponsors will feel more comfortable in giving you stuff. So, I'm writing my email saying, hey, would you want to, support this event, and your items will be used, this way. So I think more tournament organizers should look at trying to keep people not so bored, because there's going to be some problems, and also finding ways, like I need to try and also find ways as well to get people to talk to one another, because sometimes, as most people do, they're kind of just going to stay in their group of people, like their friends that they came to the event with, and trying to find ways where people can start to talk to each other and making new friends. And so I think coming up with some games and stuff can be a great way to try and do that. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I totally agree with the overall like social aspect of an event. Some of the best events are, events where a lot of people like socialize and like dream hacks. Everybody goes to hang. People just go to hang out. Not everybody goes to compete. But to tag on, you briefly mentioned sponsors. Um, I think one big thing that I didn't learn until many years into event organizing is your ticket sales are not for you to make money. Your ticket sales are for you to maybe break even. Um, what does make you money are sponsors and partnerships. And I know those are two usually really big words and sometimes intimidating, because when you think sponsorship, you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to get a sponsorship from Red Bull Gaming? Um, Chances are you're not. The best ways to get sponsorships and partnerships, you have to think smaller. You have to start smaller. You are a local event, you are a grassroots event, or maybe even of a school. Local mom and pop shops are almost always happy to sponsor these events, especially when they're student led or community led. It could be food sponsors, it could be your local PC store. And then other things that go into that could be like booths. A lot of people overlook this idea for events. I don't actually see it at lands often enough, even just like casual lands. I feel like there's a lot of boothing opportunities at lands, whether you reach out to local artists, people who sell stickers, people who sell merch, swag, whatever. A booth spot for even like, I don't know, 50 to 100 bucks. That's nothing, because in the day of the event, they can probably make all that money back, and that $100 times, I don't know, 10 booths makes a huge difference for you. So one thing that I think event organizers should always keep in mind and look into is partnerships and sponsorships on just a much smaller scale. Sometimes people think too big and get in over their heads and focus on these big and huge sponsorships with all the big names, Razer, Red Bull, Steer Series. Those aren't going to happen. You'll be
Yeah,
lucky if they send you product. So focus on your local partnerships, your local sponsorships, mom and pop shops, local artists and booths and things like that. And I think it would help out your community and it help out your events as well.
definitely. Oh, and yeah, something just to add too. I think too, even something that I did for my last event is I had kind of two kind of tiers. One was the sponsors that they have something to give, but I also kind of reached out to some esports stuff around. Hey, do you want to just like um, maybe share my event to your kind of people and stuff, just trying to get
Mhm.
some more interest of my event, because when you're building something from scratch, I don't have a lot of followers online and stuff. It's hard to get that esports event out there. So reaching out to some people that say, hey, I can stick your logo on this banner, and in return, can you then repost my event? And that worked like pretty good for my last event, reaching out to all of these places. So definitely, I think keep that in mind. You don't have to reach out to people just asking for free stuff. There's also value in trying to get your event more out there.
So, kind of on that note, we actually do have a question from the viewers for you, Jack.
Oh,
Quite literally about what you were just kind of talking about, which is they'd like to know more about how you kind of promote or have promoted like local events outside of the club slash school.
um, so for me, Discord was pretty valuable. So looking in Ottawa at trying to figure out, okay, what Discord channels people are in. So looking at the different schools, like the major schools in Ottawa, and then reposting the watch party in there. That was one of the big things. Because I've done so many Discord servers, but the main one is those school channels. Um, but then also, yeah, also social media, trying to get those companies to repost your event, because again, like I'm starting from 0 followers basically, so it's not going to really reach anyone. Um, but yeah, I mean, look for like grassroots places like this where you could reach out to CIE and say, "Hey, could you maybe repost my event, and then I can put your logo on the banner." They get more eyeballs too. It shows, like for them, it looks good because hey, it looks like they are helping grassroots esports, and everyone in grassroots, no one's really making money, so they all want to help. They all just want to help, and you'll find that, like some of the bigger companies, you might not get anywhere, but it's the grassroots that you want to try to contact. I don't know if that answered, but yeah, definitely Discord. um yeah, I think like Discord was like kind of the easiest and got more traction. um yeah, and then reposting it.
Yeah, I think over like the last couple of years, I feel like I've struggled in that part, like the marketing side of things sometimes, because I feel like Discord, unless you're like diversifying what eyes are seeing it in Discord, um, I've kind of just recycled the people that I've seen certain announcements. I was going to ask Valerie, from your time at U of T, I feel like I got to start like a counter for every time that there's a U of T mention. um, was like, considering that was like a club based, and you're kind of starting it from scratch, what did you find there was anything that was like particularly valuable for you, but like along with boothing?
At the time, boothing was the way to go. I I boothed for the whole first week. I actually skipped Frosh Week activities to booth for this esports club, and I would just manually like get people to sign up on a Google form and join the Discord on the spot. Um, and that's what worked for me, and it makes sense because these people, they're not going to see what a club is about. To them, it's like, oh, why would I join a video gaming club? I'll just play video games at home. But when they see the booth in person and they see that you have an event plan and it's coming up, it's like it's something physical that they can see and join. So I do think at the time I was at the university, that was the best way. And even here, we have an esports club here at St. Clair that's separate from the varsity program. Even at the esports club here, they booth in the first week of school, and it's what gets them most of their membership at the beginning of the year. And it's kind of starting off on the right foot too, because it's telling these people that it's in-person interactions. We're going to interact with you at the booth. If you want to keep interacting with us, you're going to have to come to our events. And it kind of sets the standard for them right there. And I think that really helps with in-person events.
Mhm. Oh, and
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just to add on that too, it's all about trying to get people to join like your stuff. Like so for my watch parties, because I don't know if they necessarily found out about my event through my channels. Probably not, because again, I'm starting from zero. So I make sure to always be like, hey guys, this is a free event. Join my Discord, join, Twitter. There's the website, So doing that stuff, because then next event, you're gonna then fill up a lot faster, and then you don't have to go out to so many random channels and Discord places. So make it easy on yourself, encourage people to sign up for your Discord or social
Yeah,
channels.
sometimes people need that little push because you have to remember gaming is, majority of gaming is actually casual. Not everybody's a competitive grinder. And most of these times, these casual players, they just need that little push to encourage them to come to these events. Because me personally, I would never go to a League of Legends tournament. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to be like, oh, I want to compete in a League of Legends tournament because I think I'm really good. I wouldn't. But if I had friends that were part of the club, or if I saw the club invite me, I probably would.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we had another U of T mention in the Twitch chat saying we love boothing at U of T. So I'm
I'm
glad
glad
it's
it's
still
still,
going.
yeah, it's still going strong. I'm really happy.
All right, now to kind of go back into our advice or wisdom giving. what qualities do you admire most in a TA or a tournament helper or like tournament, volunteers? So that could be, maybe a quality like a personality trait or quality, or just, something that they do.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
I mean, I haven't had too many people like I've worked with to like help just yet, but something that would stand out for me is that you're passionate about that game that, running an event for. So if someone just like loves Counter-Strike, yeah, in my case, and also, they want to help the grassroots scene, um, I think that type of person would stand out to me, and I want to have them definitely working with me and helping create events.
I'm gonna give more of a lame answer. um, for I guess soft skills, communication. I mean, I'm gonna sound like every employer ever, but communication as a tournament organizer is so key. And I don't just mean communication like just talking back and forth. Communication to the players. Communication includes, decision making, being able to make quick decisions and communicate that decision quickly. Or if you don't know what decision you should make, you should communicate that quickly to whoever needs to be whoever needs to know. As a tournament organizer, especially if you're at an event where there's multiple things going on, there's a broadcast, there's ongoing matches, there's pool matches versus stage matches going on, there's probably different parts of the floor. Communication is so important, and sometimes it seems silly, um, but you should always be updating your team. If you're going for a bathroom break for 5 minutes, that needs to be communicated. Because in the 5 minutes that you leave, somebody's PC could crash and your tournament admin's not there and nobody knows why you're not there. So communication really is key. It's what I value most, and my students as well. I always tell them, they talk to me almost every day when we work together on Discord, and I always tell them, it's you're never sending too many messages, you're never updating me too much. It's the most important thing, especially during live events.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of having to like hire, students or bring on people, and for me, what always sticks out the most is their like how determined they are in just being part of kind of like what you're making. So like the end goal, the foundation of it all. I think if someone's in the right kind of mind in their heart and in their head, and especially communication, like because you can love something so much, but if you can't say it, if you can't communicate when things are happening, then it can be a little bit harder.
Yeah, I do think people get worried about like over communicating, but that really is not a thing. Especially, I'm going to use like a real example, especially when there's an ongoing broadcast as well. If you're constantly updating your director or producer, whoever it is, saying like, "Hey, we're getting in lobby. This guy's game crash. We need 2 minutes. This guy's I don't know, he's fixing his mouse." Like that's four different comms within like 20 seconds, but it's not over communication. All of that is important.
Yeah,
It changes what the broadcast director is going to put on. It changes what casters are going to say, it changes everything. So people are afraid of over communicating at events. It's not a thing.
yeah.
Always
Don't be
communicate.
afraid to speak up.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, Now we're almost nearing the end of our questions, but a nice, fun one, which is what has been your favorite event to be a part of, to run, to create anything over the course of your esports career thus far?
For me, it would be the very first one that I put together, and I think it was just like a shock that people showed up to something that I made. It's like, oh wow, okay. And then I kind of also talked about how it sold out of tickets, and I was like a shock that okay, I'm going to need like a bigger space for the next Counter
What
Strike
were your
watch party.
numbers? Don't be humble. Tell us.
Yeah, tell
No,
us.
no, I mean, I like the venue size was like 20, so I had like maybe
That's still
22
awesome though. Yeah.
for the
20
first
people.
watch party. Yeah, sold out, free. Um, and uh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, so like yeah, like the very first event, and I think too, just all of the kind messages of people were just like saying, "Wow, I saw this posted online. It's like Counter Strike event, esports in Ottawa. I thought our city was useless."
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really kind and definitely pushed me to do more events.
Um, for me, it's probably T-Val, Viper's Pit number 2 or 1. Actually, I loved both of them. Um, it was the last time we ran it was, oh my gosh, 3 years ago now. RIP. But that was my favorite event because I think that was the first time I truly put on like a grassroots event alongside other people. Because before Toronto Valorant, I was doing Toronto Fortnite kind of on my own, and Toronto Valorant is my first time um, working alongside other grassroots people, and they were all amazing. I can't name them all right now because the team was so big at the time. But currently, like on Toronto Valorant right now, it's Maya and Erica, and I still work with them all the time. And just being able to put something that big together with quite literally like nothing in our pockets at the time, and putting on something that big for the scene with other people who were equally as passionate. And all of us, we were in it just for fun, for passion. None of us really made, I don't think we made any money from it. I think we just broke even on the event. Um, but yeah, that was kind of the best event that I have in terms of memories, and I would love to put something on like that again. But unfortunately, with the economy of venue space in the GTA, it's highly unlikely that it's going to happen anytime soon. But a lot of lessons were learned from T-Val, and a lot of memories were made, and I'm happy to let it go on as a legacy.
It's okay. The tweets will still come in asking for T-Val 3 and when it's happening.
One day, who knows? Maybe we'll host it in Kitchener, just like how CDL's hosting it in Kitchener.
Yeah, you
That might
never
be
know.
our yeah, that might be our only option left at this point.
Yeah, I think especially early events in like our careers is probably like it's like the baby. It's what started all. It's what the magic of it before you knew too much and before you knew too little. There's a nice sweet spot in your first events. Um, I did want to ask, do you like individually? Is there an event that you've seen recently that you've really admired, the way it's run or the way you just saw it as a whole? It doesn't have to be a Canadian event. That would be cool if it was. um, just any event in particular.
Ooh, I'd have to think about that one. I feel like there's been a lot of really good events lately. Oh wow.
I can speak while you guys think. A little shout out to St. Clair's, but the St. Clair's Gauntlet series was really really cool to just see, especially in Canada. Um, I think most of the esports stuff that I've done is US based, and so getting to see LAN and then Canada in the same kind of line of text was really exciting, and I got to attend the first one, the Call of Duty one. Unfortunately, plans did not work out for me to go for any of the other ones, but just from the first one alone is really great to see how many students were involved, the production itself, seeing actual players getting to yell at each other in friendly banter, but that's the kind of energy and excitement that um, we kind of look towards when we see these big events, held. We're gonna have VCT Masters coming to Ontario very soon, and CDL is right around the corner as well. So even though it's not that large scale of an event, um, it's still those moments that we get to see, especially for Canada, for Canadians and Canadian students, seeing that hey, we can do it too. Like we are right here at the forefront, paving the way.
Thank you. And thank you to Fanshawe for coming to all of them. um, Honestly, I feel like I have a bit of collegiate bias right now. I always have the collegiate lens on. Um, like the most recent event at Full Sail, the NACE Grand Finals was amazing, and I think that's what collegiate should be all about: is these LAN events and these things coming into fruition at the end of a semester, and all these students coming to compete. It was really well done. Full Sail. This is their second year of doing it, and Full Sail really did a good job. I'm going to add more to my answer because I can't choose one. I meant it earlier when I said what I think CIE is doing is really cool. um, I actually hadn't heard much about CIE before. Maybe I didn't really hear about last year because I wasn't as involved in the collegiate space. But I was checking it out more this year. Well, one as a panelist, and two just because I want to see what was going on in the schedule. And there's so much going on. The fact that it's all student ran and it's a week long of tournaments and panels and everything. It's a perfect convention style event. Um, and I love what they're doing over here. And I think, like you said, Canada needs more of this stuff to put Canada in the spotlight because we are a little bit behind in esports and collegiate, but we're working to get there. And the fact that we're working there with students and all of these are student ran is amazing. So I think CIE deserves my number one spot for now because I can't even think of anything else that reaches that level right now. That's all student and volunteer ran.
Well, that's just mean. You're picking CIE. Now, what am I supposed to say? Well, I definitely love like the local lands and stuff in Canada in the CS lands. I'm gonna go a little bit different though. My first Counter Strike major in Denmark in that I went to last year. It was like my first big CS event, and that's what really kind of motivated me to do Third Sight and to run like a watch party because it was just so special. Like for the first time, you're just like in, I think there was like maybe 15,000 people there. And, they all like the same thing that you do. You can just have conversations with people about Counter Strike. And that was just so much fun. And so I wanted to find a way. How can I bring that back to Ottawa at a much smaller scale, of course, but just bringing, people together. So, yeah, for me, Counter Strike Major, Copenhagen.
Lovely. Yeah. Hey, nothing's a LAN at any time is a good event to be at.
Yes,
Um,
any.
any. Yeah. So now that we are nearing the end of our lovely, lovely time together, I have my last question, which is all about you, of course. So you and your goals and what you hope to achieve. I'm gonna say in the next 5 years. I don't know if you are okay with disclosing your age. Maybe this have this. I want this to be a message to yourself in 5 years. I mean, you to kind of speak to yourself 5 years from now and say, "Hey, this is what I hope you are like, where you're at, what you're doing, and maybe
Mm.
we'll send this to you. We'll have it sent to you right
Time
now, and
capsule it.
yeah,
Yeah.
time capsule it, see where you're at, um, whether
Yeah.
that be in the esports industry, or maybe you've been thinking, hey, I maybe want to put a degree that I got that was not esports related to use.
Yeah, I guess I could start. I mean, some of my kind of shorter term goals with the watch parties is to try and reach more people that are not just like into Counter Strike. So definitely trying to bring back the Valorant people to the greatest FPS. To definitely
That's not happening.
because it kind of killed the tier two North American scene, which is sad. Um, so I want to try and attract more people that are not just Counter Strike related to come out to watch parties and hopefully get them kind of playing Counter Strike. Um, I also kind of want to have watch parties in different cities across Canada. So I think it would be so cool. Like you have an event and you have like an Ottawa watch party and then other cities across Canada all doing the same event. I think that would be really great because, of course, you're not going to really travel super far for a watch party. And then hopefully, kind of down like the line, I would love to have like a small LAN event in Ottawa. Small, but just to start doing some actual LANs as well.
I want to see T1 Faker play in person at least once. But no, on a real note, I'm gonna be really honest. I don't think that far ahead in the esports space, and it's okay. Especially because the space is changing. The technology is changing. The games are changing. Esports itself is changing. So I don't have any super far fetched goals for the next 5 years. My general goal is to put Canada more on the map. And that means creating more jobs, creating more programs within the collegiate education space, because that's kind of the way to go right now. The org space isn't really stable, but I just want to be a part of that movement to help create more jobs, whether I start here at St. Clair creating more student jobs and student opportunities here, and hopefully eventually leading into maybe a full-time job opening up. And then from there, eventually, maybe students graduate here and move on to other jobs, or maybe I can help build other Canadian programs. But that would be my overall goal in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you with it's kind of hard to see 5 years into esports when every day seems like everything's always shifting and changing.
Yeah, who knows? Valorant could die tomorrow, and Counter Strike might reign supreme again. Like, you never know.
Hopefully, we're not catching a bit of panelist curse today. Knocking on wood. But yeah, I think in general, as long as we are happy in the space that we're in and with the work that we're doing quite all right for ourselves. But yeah, with that, I think that is kind of the wrap up to our panel today. Thank you so much, Valerie and Jack. Where can people find you again? If you'd like to.
They can find me evil John Bob _CS. I think, is it showing my Twitter? Okay, it's not, but anyways, that's my Twitter. And for my website, it's thirdsight.org if you want to learn about Counter-Strike watch parties in Ottawa.
I'm silvernix_ on everything on Twitter or Discord. Feel free to add me on Discord. But please actually include context in your message. If you message me, don't just message me hi. But feel free to message me about anything, whether it's about my experience in the space, about opportunities specific to St. Clair or not specific to St. Clair. I'm always open to those conversations and networking.
All right, lovely. I'd also like to give a nice thank you to our sponsors in a bit. But I'm waiting on whether or not we leave our panelists go, or if I can just, run that through right now.
We'll be here for it. We can be here for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad because today, pretty much all of our week has been sponsored by BMO. So BMO is currently running a contest for CIE participants. So y'all's in the chat, if you type !contest and complete the form that is linked there with a BMO representative, you can be entered to win one of 5 $20 digital Steam gift cards. So maybe if FPS hasn't really been hidden recently, maybe there's another game that you have in mind that you've been wanting to get. So BMO has bank accounts and borrowing options for university and college students. So enter today. Always so many great options. We also have BMO Next Level, which is a Twitch channel and Discord server dedicated to helping you level up, not only in-game, but also in your personal finances. Joins Sean Frame, BMO's gaming relations specialist, as he plays through your favorite gaming titles while giving detailed walkthroughs on financial topics that matter to you. So you can check it out there at BMO Next Level. That's also command in there. I think someone's gonna run that through as well. Which actually, that's a great way of learning about finances. Imagine you just sit down and get to watch a playthrough, learn about finances. That's like the Subway Surfer effect.
Yeah.
We also have our Strawberry and Egg as one of our sponsors, using hashtag Strawberry and Egg. Strawberry and Egg is a new local business located in Vancouver, BC that specializes in making large video game and anime themed plushies. They also make smaller items like keychains, headphones, accessories, and flower bouquets. Everything is 100% handmade, quality as top priority. They take customer orders and commissions. Just send a message through Instagram at Strawberry and Egg, or on Discord at Ridalia. And you can get up to 15% off on all items that say CI if you say CIE sent you. So tell them what's up. Tell them you're with the gang. You're here with the crew. CIE. And then our last kind of sponsor for today is Solaris. You can find them on Twitter at Solaris_GG. Solaris is an up-and-coming gaming organization focused on competitive Marvel rivals, driven by passion and to compete at the highest level. While esports is their core, Solaris is deeply rooted in the wider gaming and IRL community. From variety content to real-world events, Solaris strives to create well-rounded presence and connect fans to players alike. Solaris also aims to support local organizations to educate the non-endemic gaming audience about the value, influence, and impact of gaming. Solaris is based in Vancouver and aims to expand to help collegiate scene grow bigger in Canada. And that's pretty much all of our sponsors. So thank you, Solaris, Strawberry and Egg, and BMO for supporting grassroots, for supporting students and just Canadians trying to get involved in esports. And thank you again, Valerie and Jack, for coming out today and being part of this panel. I hope you have a great rest of your days. Our next panel is going to start at I believe 5. We're going to be at the Jet Revive Me panel, which is all about mental health, well-being, and how we integrate video games in all of that. It's personally one of the best panels. Not that this one wasn't. This one was a pretty great panel, but hey, Jet Revive Me. It's a pretty great panel. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Goodbye, viewers. We'll see you hopefully in half an hour. Goodbye. Whoa. Maybe. I think we're still.